Hello everyone, this is JR from Nursery. Imagine that you're really excited about getting a plant, you go to your garden center, check it out, and when you're looking at the tag, it says, oh, it can only be grown in USDA zones 5 to say 8. And then you're like, that's not my gardening zone, so I can't plant that tree. Or perhaps there's another plant you really want to get and people tell you, you know what, it requires more chill hours than what your area gets, so what to do? I think that this is a conversation worth having because although chill hours and USDA zones are meant to be general guides, you can still break through and plant some material that is apparently rated outside of those chill hours or USDA zones and still be successful. Let me tell you how. Generally speaking, a chill hour is a period of time where temperatures are below 45 degrees. There are different models that also define some ranges of accumulation between 32 degrees Fahrenheit and 45 degrees Fahrenheit. If it's above 45, they'll decrease it or they'll actually withdraw from the accumulation. It can become confusing, but again, the idea of chilling is just to give you a perspective that there needs to be a period of rest for that plant. Now, what about USDA gardening zones? Just to put it into perspective, a USDA gardening zone is referring to a section of the country where it has a certain range of average extreme minimum temperatures. I know it's a mouthful, but just for instance, years ago, the area where I live in Orlando was classified as USDA Zone 9B. So those zones actually have two subclassifications, A and B. B would be the slightly warmer zone, like by a range of 5 degrees. And then Zone A would be the lower one, with the one that has lower temperatures, also in a 5-degree interval. So Orlando, when it used to be classified as Zone 9B, we were expecting to have the temperatures, the minimum range of temperatures, somewhere between 25 degrees Fahrenheit and 30 degrees Fahrenheit. So those are still in the freezing range, right? It's below 32 degrees. Our area got reclassified to Zone 10A. So now with the onset of changes due to climate change, Orlando hasn't been really that cold for a very long time. And then the minimum that we can expect is somewhere between 30 and 35 degrees, right? That is just a guide because we know that weather is unpredictable. If you don't believe me, the heartache that many of us experienced because of that cold front back in February, where the temperatures were in the lower 20s for many hours, killed a lot of the tropicals or set them back dramatically. If you have watched some of our previous videos, you'll know that the majority of the plants that we grow are apple trees. And you're thinking, wait a minute, apple trees? Orlando, Florida? I have a hard time making that connection. Apple trees in Florida, they don't go hand in hand. But as you can see, right next to me, we have an apple tree, and this is the variety known as white winter pearmain, and it's got fruit growing all over the place. And you're thinking, how is this possible? Orlando doesn't get enough chill hours for apples to grow and produce fruit, right? Again, that's a misconception that chill hours are an absolute and that plants cannot produce fruit unless they meet that specific number of chill hours. There are horticultural practices that you can put in place in order to help those trees produce fruit. And they include proper pruning, fertilization with the nutrients that they need, and in order to override the requirements for higher chilling, you can actually manually defoliate the trees just before temperatures under 50 degrees Fahrenheit are expected to occur. That's because there is a period of dormancy. They are phases. And one phase in particular, known as endodormancy, is when the trees detect that they are low temperatures and now they are counting cold. Once that process begins, the tree will not grow again. The buds are shut down in order to make sure that they got what they require before they start growing again. Manually defoliating the trees, what it does is that it gives the tree a signal that they had already gone through the process of counting all the chill hours they require, and now they just await for the longer days of spring where it's warmer and there is more sunlight. Even with the information that I provided for you, you might be still thinking, you know what? It doesn't make sense. We don't get enough chill hours, period. That's it. And I think the inspiration for making this video came from one specific chat in one of the gardening groups on Facebook, where one individual was debating to whether or not it'd be sensible to get an Anna apple tree. A lot of people started chiming in and say, you're not going to be able to grow it because the problem is Anna requires 300 to 400 chill hours. Sometimes they give it a little bit more than that. And your area simply doesn't get that cold. You will not grow it. And even if it does, it's not going to produce fruit. The problem with that is that it just is not true. Apples can grow and produce fruit with a low number of chill hours. And we've known this for a very long time. It's just that there is a lot of contradicting information. There are projects in Southern California, in Brazil, in the Philippines, in the Caribbean, in Africa, where apple trees are grown successfully and they produce fruit. So why is it that we keep insisting that they just need that cold requirement in order to continue to produce fruit? Sometimes it even goes to the level where people think that I am lying or that I'm artificially producing these apples. I know of someone, and I'm not going to say the name because that's not important, but somebody years ago basically accused me of saying, you know what, you got this tree from, say, somewhere up north. They sent it to you, you planted it, and then it started growing some flowers and you got some fruit from there. You know, like, that's not really growing apples in Florida. Anybody can do that, right? It has to be a tree that continually grows every single year and then it produces fruit in Florida, right? So you're just full of S. That's what the guy basically was telling me. And when I mentioned the horticultural practice of manually defoliating the trees in order to achieve that, he kind of like, oh yeah, that's what I thought. And I'm like, that basically is trolling. Somebody just like, they have nothing better to do than to try to get in fights with people over silly stuff. And that's not my intent. My intent is to give you a hope and give you an inspiration that because we are able to successfully grow apples, that you can do it too. If you follow those practices, this is not unique to us. It can be done, and it is being done in many different places. For example, the white winter pearmain apple tree that I mentioned a few moments ago, it's been planted in the ground for 5 years. So this is a 5-year tree and it's producing fruit over and over and over. How is this being artificially created? Like every single winter, I dig it out, send it to the north to get cold hours and then bring it back and put it there. If I had the kind of money to do that process, I wouldn't be living here. I would be living in a super ultra expensive place with a farm, acres and acres of land for experimentation. That is not what's happening. You know, it doesn't have to be that hard to imagine. Okay. And okay, you're like, oh, that maybe is a low chill cultivar. Okay. All right. Fair enough. Let's move over to this guy over here. This one is a surprise apple. That's the name of it. And take a look at that. It's got some apples. So again, it just doesn't work the way people think. And it's still producing some blooms here and there. So why is it that the trees are ignoring the paradigm of needing cold in order to produce flowers and fruit? That's because it's not truly necessary. There is a natural process that those trees follow, and it is induced by the changes in seasons, right? Like we have a really short winter. Fall is very, very short, and then summer is very long, right? So we're just having to adapt and feed them and provide them with whatever they need. So that's where the horticultural practices I mentioned earlier will come into play to get your trees producing flowers and fruit. And just to go back to that chat where the person deciding whether or not to get an Anna apple tree may be wondering, did I make the right choice? Because Anna doesn't grow in my Orlando area. Well, take a look at mine, right? This is a 2-year tree grafted on Geneva 890 rootstock, and it's producing some nice apples for such a young tree. So again, it doesn't matter whether or not you get 300, 400 chill hours, as long as you're applying the proper horticultural practices. For many, not all though, I have to be honest, but for many apple cultivars, they will be able to grow and respond in the environment where you plant them. Back in early March, I posted a video about our Okame Cherry tree, and this is a beautiful tree when it's in full bloom and has tons and tons of light pink flowers. If you look at the information for where it can be grown, it says it's between gardening zones 6 and 9. So are you telling me that now, because we have been reclassified to zone 10A, that I have to dig out my tree because it's no longer going to produce flowers? Again, think about it. That is just ridiculous. USDA zones are just meant as guides. Now, I'm not asking people to plant a Norway maple down here in Orlando, because there are obvious plants that, due to their many years, millennia of biological processes, they need those environments in order to grow successfully. But in that same manner, there are plants that can be adaptable to a wider range of climates. So while it's important to know, generally speaking, what is a USDA zone range for a plant, it doesn't mean that it cannot grow where you live just because your number for that USDA zone is outside of that range. I hope that this video helps to provide some perspective about USDA gardening zones and chilling requirements. The main takeaway, just because a plant might not get a certain number of recommended chill hours, or if the label for the plant says that it doesn't grow in your USDA gardening zone, doesn't mean that you can't grow it. In fact, we provide ongoing testimony with our videos that apples, which are plants that many people think cannot be grown in Florida, we grow them, we get fruit from them every year, and it's not a fluke. It just depends on how you treat your plants. And if you do it the same way we apply it, you can be successful in growing those types of trees as well. Thank you, everyone, and we'll see you next time.